Good evening and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Eugene Chan, and our guest this evening is the Vice President of the Sports Federation and Olympic Committee of Hong Kong, Mr. Kenneth Fok. As one of the leading figures in Hong Kong sports administration, Mr. Fok is a legislative councillor representing the sports, performing arts, culture and publication functional constituency. He is president of several different sports associations in Hong Kong and was vice chair of the Elite Sports Committee as well as the director of the Sports Institute. Mr. Fok is also a deputy to the National People's Congress and vice chairman of the All China Youth Federation with Hong Kong, achieving a historic milestone at the recent Olympics, bringing home 2 gold and 2 bronze medals. We will be discussing how we support and celebrate our Olympians. Welcome, Kenneth.
Welcome, welcome.
Ken, firstly, congratulations on what a fantastic performance of our Olympic team. This has been without a doubt one of our best performances. I'm sure all of us were glued to the TV, and I've actually messaged you. I saw you on TV yes. Jumping for joy. You've been to many Olympics. Would you say this is one of your most special guests this time?
Well, Eugene, I'm no stranger to this show. Thank you for having me again. And I'm very happy to be here because every time we come here, I bring good news, right?
Right, yes.
If I remember correctly, I was here 3 years ago.
Right.
We were about to leave for the Tokyo Olympics.
Yes.
And back in 2021, we didn't expect, but we came back with amazing results. Right. 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 3 bronze, right? The whole of Hong Kong was ecstatic. And then remember I said to you that, there's an unspoken rule before that we've never broken.
Right.
Hong Kong always seems to get medals every other Olympics, right? Every other Olympics. But I'm glad today we're sitting here. We've broken that so-called unspoken rules. And we, as you say, we came back with the best results ever. 2 golds and 2 bronze. Right. And for a city of 7 million people, I think that's an amazing feat. It's an amazing result. And it's something that all of Hong Kong should be proud about.
Were you at all those winning moments when we got the gold medals?
Yes, most of them. Back to your question, Eugene, you mentioned about whether it's one of the most memorable Olympics. I think my most memorable has to be Beijing. Mm-hmm. I think 2008, time flies, but as host country, I was not just participating, I had the sense of responsibility that we had to show everyone around the world a good time. But in terms of Olympics, I think Paris has a very interesting model. Why I like to say this, today let's dig a bit deeper rather than just the side you see on the TV.
Please do.
Because in the whole Olympic movement, I think we are facing challenges. Because as you see, a lot of the Olympics now, there's concerns, and there's actually people think about the cost of hosting such large and elaborate games, right? Mm-hmm. So we see now actually since Beijing Olympics until now, actually countries and cities are finding it harder to really host the Olympics because of cost issues. So this time Paris, what struck me, of course, first of all, there are beautiful venues. For example, the gold medal match was held in Grand Palais, right? The fencing, by itself is very majestic. Equestrian was also in the Versailles. This is something that is unique to Paris. But actually, if you dig deep under the surface, a lot of venues are temporary venues. The mode of the operation is slightly different. Of course, they stress about being green and being, cost cutting. We say cost cutting. But I think that's a very important trial for Olympics. I'm actually very interested and looking forward to seeing what the numbers are like. So how much it costs Paris to host it, and whether actually they make money or even financially sustainable. Because there was something that struck me very strongly is no matter what day I went, no matter what time it was, all venues were full.
Right.
And I noticed, this might not be a good thing, but tickets are relatively quite dear, quite expensive. Right. Okay, you see which angle you look at it from. But in the end, I think maybe Paris Olympics might be financially quite successful. Mm-hmm. So I think this is something that the Olympic movement needs. I think it's a message that is sent to the world that, in potential bidding cities, that actually Olympics can be quite a a good model to move forward in terms of promoting tourism and the operation as well.
Right, Kenneth, before you go any deeper, let's say at a very shallow level, because a lot of viewers will be wondering what happened after our gold medalists received their TV interviews, and after all that, where did you go for celebrations? Did you go at all?
No, I think the first medal, of course, we got was Vivian.
Right.
I had expectations before.
Right.
I think Vivian has the ability, and it would be quite probable that she wins. But it was just too overwhelming. I think it was late at night. We did all the interviews and we celebrated with her. But I think that was just the beginning of the games. There were still many competitions to go. I think Vivian's gold set the kind of pace for the Hong Kong team, and eventually it was Zhang Galong, right, and Siobhan in the swimming. So I think it set a good pace at the beginning to get the momentum going.
Just a matter of interest, like in Hong Kong, like after 12 o'clock, it's not easy to find a place for celebration. How was it in Paris?
I thought Paris was quite lively. Quite lively. First of all, I think the Olympics really drew a lot of tourists from at least around Europe and also from America, and a lot of Chinese fans too. I was very happy to see a lot of Chinese flags, Hong Kong SAR flags within a lot of the venues, especially table tennis,
right.
especially table tennis. But what I found was actually at nighttime, even after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, streets in Paris, cafes. A lot of these tourist areas, they're full of people. Right. So it's just a sense of vibrancy around the town. A lot of people just celebrating the Olympic spirit, celebrating the athletes. And it's quite amazing. This is a new thing that they did, was to do the Champions March in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
I think that's a new thing that's never been done before. So the champions, after they win the medals, the next day, they're invited to this Champions Parade in front of the iconic tower. So I think it's it's a recognition, it's an opportunity for any athletes to celebrate.
Okay. Before the, in Hong Kong we sort of watched different news, and there was kind of an arson attack on the high-speed railway network. Were you concerned at all?
Yes, of course. Eugene, we see the world's becoming quite complicated.
That's exactly what I want to ask you.
We say sports. Actually, it's quite funny. The original idea of the Olympics is that you stop world conflicts in terms of the old days, and then you allow safe passage for the athlete to compete in the Olympic Games. But of course, that's always in the back of everyone's mind. It's a pity that it happened. Unfortunately, it did cause a little bit of chaos for people coming into Paris to join the games. But in overall, Paris, I think they did a good job in terms of security.
And also there was another incident on the social media that they've been watching. There was I think it was a German photographer actually bumped into one of our Wang Juntian after his gold medal win. Was it? It's quite disgraceful if it was intentional, because I think the reporter was barred from doing other interviews. Was it an isolated incident, or do you see sort of a sense of hostility against our teams?
No, I don't think so. I hopefully, of course, I can't speak on behalf of the incident or the person, but I hope it's just an isolated incident, right? At the end of the day, when we go to the Olympic Games, I still believe, and I firmly believe that the overwhelming majority of our athletes and people involved in the Olympics really upholds the Olympic spirit, right? Of mutual respect, of friendship and fair competition. So obviously, as you know, incidents like this make the social media and it becomes so. But I think it's important to remind our viewers that the Olympic Games is about mutual respect. And the way I see it, we see a lot of Chinese athletes, remember? Because one of our female Chinese athletes held the pin of this Spanish flag because her competitor was injured. We all see these incidents, but it's important to remind us of the importance of solidarity.
Right. So we spoke earlier that we had a very good result with 2 gold medals in fencing and then 2 bronze medals in swimming. So Was this result kind of an expected result? Was it by chance, or do you think it was sheer hard work, or is the teamwork? How will you put to that?
Expected, of course. I think we expected medals. Okay, because after the success of the Tokyo, I think we had the preparation that fencing and swimming we had a very high chance. Of course, there was difficulties as well. After the pandemic, Tokyo was delayed, so the athlete had less time to prepare. I only had 3 years. But of course, there's both sides of the coin, right? So in terms of fencing, as I said earlier, actually, at least I believe that Vivian had a really good chance of getting a medal at least. And we're so happy that she persevered and got gold in the end. Zhang Galong, of course, he is world class. But usually you got to understand fencing. It's unpredictable. Fencing is a very unpredictable sport, especially Galong's event. And as you have seen, news reports, actually it has been decades since anyone has defended their gold medal at the Olympics.
We've read that,
So statistics-wise, it's difficult. And we had, all faith in Galong, but it's not an easy competition. Right. In the end, we saw the result.
Yes.
Nail-biting event.
Yes, indeed.
And Siobhan, she's great. She had an amazing run. She, in terms of swimming, the differences are milliseconds. And we're all very proud of Siobhan and our team results.
Right. Ken, let's take a short break now. But viewers, stay tuned. We will be right back. Thank you for staying with us. Mr. Kenneth Fok, the Vice President of the Sports Federation and the Olympic Committee of Hong Kong, is with us this evening and has been sharing with us how we can support and celebrate our Olympians. Ken, in the first half, you talked about how we had such great results with 2 gold and 2 bronzes. Yep. But let's look at the lessons that we learned from other athletes, because not everybody had the honor or the result of getting a medal. So how does these lessons help to improve their future performances?
No, first of all, I think it's important to note, Eugene, that we sent 35 athletes there. And 20 are there the first time.
Right.
As you know, any athletes, any professional athletes, they need time to grow. They need time to learn on the world stage. No matter how much you prepare in the sports institute, behind closed doors, a real life competition is different. So actually, most of our athletes are there to gain experience. I remember I took the Olympic team in 2016, 8 years ago. That was the first time Zhang Galong went. And he didn't get a medal then. He did well, but he didn't get the medal. And he's stepped up, step by step. So I think it's important to note that our Hong Kong team, there's, a very good, a team, young team coming up. So it's important to note. And I always say to athletes, the experience and the enjoying the process is almost more important than actually just getting the medal itself. Of course, everyone wants to get a medal, but just enjoy the Olympics, enjoy going there. I think for them, like our young cyclists, for example, hopefully for next edition of the Olympics, we'll get medals in other sports too.
Right. We saw that there's a welcome reception for the Hong Kong delegation. There was a bus parade, and I saw many happy faces on athletes, even if they don't get medals. So you think all these recognition actually will be a good motivation for them to keep going?
I think so. When you talk about recognition, I really feel it very strongly. I think Hong Kong people's enthusiasm for sports has really been elevated, especially after the pandemic. We all support our athletes before, but this time you see it with the, people queuing up on the side of the road, seeing our athletes, everyone gathering at malls, supporting them on live TV. Even this past few days, right, with the Chinese athletes coming to Hong Kong. I honestly have never seen so many fans, so much craze and joy and jubilation all over town. They're all standing in front of the hotel just to glimpse this, the athletes and their stars. So I think this is a great start for sports in Hong Kong. The government's talking about having sports events as an engine of growth for the economy. I think back to basic, what do you need? Fans, right?
Indeed.
You need fans, people excited, interested about sports to be able to kickstart this. I think this is a good start. And for athletes, I'm sure that's also a engine for their motivation too.
Right. Do you think the Hong Kong government has the proper plans to sort of engage more people to be involved in sports, especially with such good results?
I think so, Eugene. I think we have limited time. I can't get too much into the policy. But of course, previously, when you talk about government policy, it's based on the 3 pillars of sports, right? Elite sports, community sports, and, Sengsi, which is eventing. But actually, with John Lee's new initiative, it's from 3 pillars to 5 pillars, to professionalism and sports economy as well, so-called commercialization of sports. So I look forward to the government really reviewing and evaluating the support the government can give in terms of really taking sports into a new professional level and really supporting, actually linking sports and tourism. Because we talk about the economy a lot now.
Yes.
And how can we translate these mega events and sports into really economic policy, economic driver? I think we are not, there yet. We have a long way to go. And it's important for, people like us and the community to get together and really think what the government should do. Because if we look at it, actually, now, if you think about government support, actually, in terms of sports, government now spends about $7.9 billion a year in sports. But it's based on the 3 pillars. Actually, community sports is the most, about $6 billion. And then elite sports is $1.5 billion. But actually, direct government subsidization or support for eventing, it's relatively small.
Right.
It's only 388 million.
Right.
So you can see the discrepancy.
Also, when you look at the prize money, I mean, we saw that our gold medalists get a handsome payout of $6 billion from the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and I think one of the highest in the world. Can this be sustainable? I mean, with the economy not going to be very bright, with a very bright outlook at the moment, do you see that there will be a shortage of funds to keep supporting such good move that we had so far?
No, I think we should be grateful first for the support we've gotten from society, especially this time from Jockey Club. Jockey Club is very supportive of the sports sector, so we see, you see news headlines saying that Hong Kong athletes get the most bonus. But if you look at it, I think it's important for us to be prepared on both ways, right? I can't guarantee or I can't say that, it'll be smooth sailing for the rest of the years. But it's important to also, as we say, the commercialization. Being a sports athlete, actually you should be able to have access to other means of support, such as commercialization. And actually, this is what America's been doing, right? If you look at the different model, America doesn't actually use its government's funding. They don't have bonuses, so to speak. But actually, because of the commercial model of US sports market, athletes can have a very distinguished career being an athlete. So I'm not saying that today we can turn into the US market-led driven model. But I think Hong Kong, being an open economy, we should think of ways we could support the athletes to be able to have access and to have a better career if you choose to become a full-time athlete. So this is something that government can really take a lead. I think this is it's not just all about government funding or securing bonuses, but I think how to work with athletes so that they can have a all well-rounded career and actually have opportunities when they win a medal or they have a great result and they are recognized by the community.
Right, Ken, Hong Kong ranked 37th in the medal standings. I think one of the best results we had, as I said. One of the highest in city's Olympic history. But Siobhan said that she may not compete next year, and Vivian's already saying that she's taking a break. So how do you envision our future trajectory for Hong Kong athletes in the global arena? As you said, it takes time. Do you see successes in line that can still carry the flag? But I mean, mind you, we have 35 athletes. When you get 4 medals out of 35, I think the result is fantastic. Do you still see that happening?
I see it happening. As I say, out of 35 athletes, 20 are the first-time appearances. So we definitely have a stock, or we definitely have a very strong team of young athletes who are willing, who are driven, who wants to go, right? I mentioned cycling. We have very, optimistic results from Lei Siwing, a cyclist, and she is, I think destined for great work. And also we see a lot of young fencers. This time we saw a lot of young fencers also going first time who did great results, even for the first time appearance in such a world stage. And secondly, I think it's worth noting as well, I think sports is changing a little bit. Because traditionally Olympics is 28 sports, right? I think it was Dr. Jacques Rogue put a cap on the Olympic sports because of cost considerations. But now we're seeing new sports coming up. Right, you see the first edition for breakdancing, for example, breaking, skateboarding as well. Sports climbing. So a lot of young sports are coming up. So the Olympics mode, they are actually trying to move towards a younger scheduling to capture a younger audience. So this reflects back into our funding system. Hong Kong funding system is more kind of, you get results and then you get more funding from the government so that you can get great trainers or get better resources. But we should allow for better flexibilities because there are new sports coming up. Can we actually capture these opportunities when the opportunities present themselves? Like skateboarding, right? It might, if you take years to train up the skateboarding or even other events like breaking, it may take a long time. But if we have the funding or the government support flexibility, then maybe we can quickly identify talents, quickly train up, quickly get the best coaches, and be able to fight for these new events.
Right. So this is something that I would say new strategies or changes in the approach that you would do for the next Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles.
Yes, I think so. I think Los Angeles, they have a lot of new sports, and actually, Eugene, also a new development. I think IOC, International Olympic Committee, signed a 12-year deal with the Saudi Arabia National Olympic Committee to do a few editions of esports Olympics.
Right.
So I think that's a different topic. That's a different topic. But we see IOC is changing. Right.
Ken, the last question I'm going to ask you, as a legislative councillor for the sports constituency, what changes do you think that we should do for Hong Kong sports policy so that we'll enhance our athletic programs and overall sports development? Very simple. What are we in the right direction?
I think we're in the right direction. First of all, the next year we have the National Games. And it's the first National Games that leverages both the hosting, Hong Kong, Macau, and Guangdong, right?
Guangdong, yes.
When we talk about big sports events, we need the market size. We need the capture audience. And I think that we're going in the right direction. Hong Kong only has 7 million people. But if we have the GBA concept, if it works, actually we can use GBA to bid for a lot of different international large events to be held in Hong Kong. Right. So this is something that I'm looking forward to.
Ken, I'm afraid we have to leave it there for now. And thank you for coming. Certainly Hong Kong has much to be proud of with our achievements at both the Olympics and with the Paralympics. We hope that this will inspire the next generation and look forward to see more of our athletes making us proud on the world stage. Thank you for joining us and have a good evening.
Thank you.